In Judges 3 verses 12 to 30, Israel was in deep trouble. They had disobeyed God and now suffered under the rule of an enemy king named Eglon, a powerful man who made their lives miserable for 18 long years. The Israelites were under oppression by the King Eglon. They carried heavy loads under the watchful eyes of the king's soldiers. A little boy looks up at his father who is struggling to keep a heavy load balanced on his back, fear evident on his young face, and asks, "Will God help us, Father?" The father sighs, "We can only pray that he sends someone to free us." Surely God heard their cries and prayers. God used a man called Ehud to set them free, an unexpected hero with a secret weapon, a left-handed man, to save Israel. And Ehud made a plan. He crafted a short double-edged dagger, small enough to hide under his clothes. He tied the dagger to his right thigh, where no one would expect a weapon since most people were right-handed. His mission was simple, but dangerous. To carry out his plan, he decided to deliver a tribute to the king, and when the moment was right, kill him. Ehud adjusted his robe over the hidden dagger, and took a deep breath, and set off toward the king's palace with a group of Israelites carrying gifts for King Eglon. The King Eglon was a very large man, known for his wealth and power. The king, sitting on a grand throne and surrounded by guards, summons Ehud to come near. When the gifts were presented, the king was very pleased and he let down his guard. Ehud bows and presents the tribute with a respectful smile. Bowed down, Ehud silently speaks to the king, "O King Eglon, I have a special message for you, one that only you should hear." The king, curious and full of pride, sends all his guards away. He wanted to hear the secret message. The guards hesitantly leave and King Eglon leans forward, eager for what Ehud has to say. When they are totally alone, Ehud leans close to the king. Ehud clears his throat and quietly speaks to the king, "This is a message from God." In one swift motion, Ehud pulls out the dagger from under his robe and plunges it into the king's belly. The dagger sinks in so deeply that the fat closes over the handle. The king gasped, but it was over. Ehud left the dagger inside and quickly escaped by way of the porch, ensuring the door was locked behind him and the guards could not go in except they break it down. Ehud hurried to the hills, where other Israelites were waiting. Meanwhile, Eglon's servants thought the king was just resting. By the time they realized something was wrong, Ehud was far away. The king's servants knocked on the locked door, whispering nervously. "It's been hours since they went in there." Balak, a servant, inquired. "He's been in there a long time." Misha hesitantly responds, "Maybe he's busy." By the time they unlocked the door, it was too late. Their king was dead, and Ehud had escaped to lead the Israelites to victory. Ehud blows a horn, rallying the Israelites for battle. Hearing the sound of the horn, the Israelites rose up and chased away the enemy soldiers. That day, Israel was freed from Eglon's rule. From the king's palace, they heard the sound of a horn from afar and they know defeat is imminent. But the Israelites jubilated, knowing it was the sound of victory. With the enemy defeated, Israel was free again. The Israelites celebrated in their village, dancing and praising God for the victory. The people cheered Ehud, knowing that God had sent him to save them. Nathanael talking to his friend, "God has rescued us, God heard our prayers." All thanks to the obedience of Ehud, the left-handed hero. Benjamin responds, rushing to hug Ramah, a neighbor. Israel had peace for many years, all because one man listened to God and obeyed, even when it was risky. Ehud's story teaches us that God can use anyone, no matter how unexpected, to do his work. Ehud's obedience and courage saved his people. When we listen to God and trust His plans, even if they seem hard, He can do great things through us. Grandfather Ezra finishes his narration to his grandchildren who are listening intently with excited faces to his story and teaching. You don't have to be the strongest or most famous to do something important. You just have to be willing to listen and obey. The story of Ehud reminds us that God's plans are bigger than we can see. Sometimes, the most unlikely heroes, like a left-handed man with a hidden dagger, are the ones who bring about the greatest change.